Welcome to Vox Hot Topics. My name is Ron Kingsford. I'm the Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Solution Architecture here at Vox. Today I'm speaking with Tracy Malingo. She's General Manager for the Self-Service Business Org within Verint, who's a major partner of Vox's. We really want to talk about ways to secure our contact center. We know within COVID, there are challenges out there. So specifically, we're going to talk today about our IVR, or Interactive Voice Response unit, and how we're going to be securing that going forward and doing more with less as we keep our employees going in the right direction. So thank you for joining us, and we'll move right on to Tracy. All right. So Tracy, great to see you again. Thanks for being part of our ecosystem within Vox. We're excited to talk about our Vox security practice and really how that relates to our partnership with Verint and our IVR attention. And so let's just jump into question number one, unless you have anything else you want to add. It's great to see you.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you, Ron. We haven't been able to see much of each other recently, and so it's nice to have this opportunity to at least join you in your office virtually for this discussion.
Why protect IVR? You know, what is out there that's going to be grabbed that we're not going to be able to capitalize on going forward? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so we take a bunch of information that's coming into the IVR and information that resides there. So things like ANI and different metadata from the carriers. We're looking at behavior metrics within the IVR, so multiple calls in, abnormal behavior, abnormal traffic, and we're able to take a look at all those metrics and put those together and then determine risk evaluation scores for what's happening based on the callers calling in to the IVR on what that looks like. And again, the IVR is something that most organizations don't necessarily think of as being that first point in to protect and monitor before it gets into the contact center. And it's really where a lot of this activity can be ferreted out right before it lands further. So it's a unique opportunity for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. At Vox, we've got kind of three verticals that we're targeting: SLED, healthcare, and finance. Financial industry seems like a really big place that IVR and fraud can make a decent impact, with contact centers kind of as targets for fraudsters. And as you know, most fraud solutions engage in kind of this live agent interaction with the best, notifying these live agents about real time and caller fraudsters. Do most contact center operators believe fraudsters are active in the IVR, or that fraud activity really exists within the IVR? That's a nice lines of delineation there, if we can drill into that a little bit.
Yeah. Do they believe it, and does it actually exist? Right. It's kind of interesting, especially as we come up to the holiday season, right? Do you believe in Santa Claus, or does he actually exist? Now, I think one of the interesting parts about this is it's really I think people assume, right, there's protections around there and what's going on within the IVR, and they are so focused, and they should be focused right on the contact center. But there is so much fraud that does occur within that IVR. And so what we do to help people kind of visualize and understand what that risk looks like, we often have to go in and just show them, right? It's a little bit of helping them visualize and show within their own data and their own environments what that activity is looking like. It's unusual behavior and activity, and what does that mean to them? And so from Verint's perspective, what we've set up is actually what we refer to as like an impact analysis. And what that impact analysis does a simple API connection to the customers, and for example, Vox's customers, IVR, and then we start gathering data, and within about 2 weeks, we're able to show them directly what type of fraudulent activities are occurring within that IVR for them. Because although you think of all the different channels and ways that fraud can be occurring, for some reason, the IVR just kind of gets left out of that. And so we need to demonstrate, right, with real results and real knowledge that this is what's happening. This could be a problem area for them.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. What we think of when we think of Vox from our UVP perspective is really around life cycle assessments and audits and drilling into some sort of a business outcome versus a technology that's going to solve some sort of a need or expect that some sort of blinky box is going to make a huge impact on our business. So we really want to start looking towards what the end result looks like and what that proof might be. So as it relates to the impact analysis, is there proof that kind of comes at the end of the movie for us to kind of latch on to and drill more dollars to drive more business, or help us to understand what that proof might be?
Yeah, so what it is it will be an output of analysis of that particular customer's IVR and where there is fraud in it. And then what we do is we work together to determine what is the value of that fraud, right? Like what is the business impact of what that fraud activity is? And then we can extrapolate out from there. Here's what that risk looks like ongoing for them for a year or for a couple of years, or what, ancillary risks look around that. And we can deliver that, and it can be very specific into cost savings, cost mitigation in some cases from a fraud perspective, and really show, quite honestly, collectively show the customer without doubt that we'll be able to, they'll be able to pay for this investment. they'll realize gains from this investment. We'll save them a bunch of money and opportunity with this investment, and it will be in their very specific numbers.
With a billion calls that go through IVRs, where is adaptive fraud fitting nicely? Is it for everybody, or do you have like a addressable market or an ideal customer profile that we're really trying to target as a business?
Yeah, no, great question, and you bring up a good point. The adaptive fraud solution has been in the market for some time. People don't necessarily think of Verint as an IVR provider or this type of solution. And truth be told, we have one of the largest volume IVRs out there in the industry, and we do process billions of calls. And so the experience and knowledge of doing that across multiple industries, we can tell you where this type of solution fits well and where this drives us at. And it's certainly around any organization that supports any type of kind of monetary transaction work within the IVR and the contact center. So certainly financial vertical, right? It kind of goes without saying as far as what that looks like. But if you broaden that a little bit as far as who can benefit from this, and you think of companies that offer like prepaid cards, right, or other card processing. If you take a look at HSAs or FSAs, right, where you're managing monetary funds or money, or even some of the retail commerce components of it. And so really any organization that's working with kind of those types of allowance or monetary views or managing monetary type programs fit really well within the solution, because what we're looking for, again, is we're looking for the behavior of people coming into that IVR in multiple different ways in multiple different times to try to crack into how they can get access to those nuggets, right, and to that pieces of information so that they can round out their kind of complete fraudulent attack that they would be looking to do. So those would be kind of the targets that we're looking at. We're also, for example, thinking of kind of capturing that. There's like a large shipping organization that we're working with, right? And so, we're looking to track and understand what kind of activities coming into their IVR to track packages to maybe, fraudulent activity as far as capturing or redirecting those packages. So any of those types of activities, and it's pretty broad, which goes back to the point of there is a lot of opportunity, right, for fraud to be occurring and to be set up within the IVR that many people don't think of. And we're excited to be able to work with Voxns and work with customers to understand what that looks like and help prevent that.
Yeah, one area where we've been successful is really driving IVR into a back office and into other areas where a typical contact center isn't really thought of as a cash cow. It's more of a drag on the business. So as we look to kind of have those conversations with customers, it seems very relevant that IVR has a place with AI and robotics and some of these things where it's going to make a huge impact. It feels like, not to date myself, but I will, we're a long way from mosaics, right? Back when at least I started, that was the big push of IVR and where we were headed with things. And excited to be partnered with Verint to understand where those bodies are buried, if you will, and how we can be successful going forward. So anyway, mosaics.
Absolutely. If you're aging yourself, you're aging me. And so, because I know exactly what you're talking about, and absolutely, right? Like anytime we get into self-service and more automation and all those considerations that are happening that are super critical and important right now, now more than ever in our new environment. We can't let up on understanding and supporting our customers and helping them with where fraud can occur within there. So it's, what's old is new. And as those things come around, right, I think there's great opportunity for all of us to work with our customers on that.
Yeah, and I think that, secure remote worker and some of the things that we're dealing with today with COVID and people working at home with, firewalls that are less than resilient, if you will, these things are coming up often. Where is the ROI on my investment as I move everybody home, looking at IVR as a possible solution to my business and driving business outcomes that I need? When I looked recently at adaptive fraud, it seemed like it was pennies on the dollar, right? It's not a very big uplift for the organization to consider. I love the idea of the impact analysis and not going down the POC road to try to solve for something, but really adding value to that business. What's the pricing look like? Is it based on configuration? Can you give us some idea of perspective on price, or does that make sense? I know that's always a slippery slope in sales and where we live, but I'd love to give people kind of just a ballpark of truth there, if we could.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So here's the good thing. Like you mentioned, the way that this does price out is it's based on minutes and based on transactions and volumes, right? So we're adding cost for every minute of what's happening within that IVR is how we price it, because that aligns to then how we can help identify the risk containment and the fraud exposure that we can do. So it's a per minute pricing model. And like you mentioned, pennies, 'tis the season. You could probably only start going into in some cases based on volume, hey, pennies, what that looks like. But it's pennies per call, which when you think of fraud is a pretty good investment when you're looking at stopping some of that. And then from a setup standpoint, which is what is nice about this, is it is so low code, right? Like there's a standard well documented to the point where I could probably do it, API that's available with all the documentation that you just use to connect into that IVR. And then from there, we're watching and capturing all that information and looking at that, processing it. So there's not a lot of initial configuration or hardware setup or ongoing tuning. Like the machine is there. We do the connection. We monitor and manage all the activity, and then we charge based on the minute.
That's helpful. I appreciate that. And as we look, I think we kind of covered business outcomes and what we're trying to solve for, but really the end result is to drive better, faster, leaner, meaner businesses that can do more with less, right? As we come out of this COVID rebound economy, there's a lot of discussion there, how we're going to be prepared for something in the near future. And so that resonates with me. Well, thank you so much for watching these last few minutes of my conversation with Tracy from Verint. Clearly a visionary in the industry, and appreciate her taking her time to spend with us. So if you'd like more information, or you want a free 60-day impact analysis of your IVR, or even any questions that you might have about what we've talked about today, please contact us at the number above, below, on the side, wherever that might be. And thank you guys so much for listening. Onward and upward, better together. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.